You can't make a decision to be any more or less spiritual than you are. You are a spiritual being in a human body. You have consciousness. You are consciousness. It runs through you. Where you decide to put your attention, your mind, where you decide to use your power of free will, you can go in all kinds of directions. But no matter where you go, how you go there, no matter what you believe or don't believe, no matter how you act, no matter what you do or don't do, you will never be more or less spiritual than you are. Dear Elizabeth, thank you for being here in the circle today.
So I have a question which I'd like to unpack just a little bit. The question is, how can I remain spiritual with so much harm and suffering in the world? And let me just unpack that a touch. What happens when I see the harm and suffering in the external world? I lose presence. And I actually feel my heart like armor. It feels like it closes. I do so many heart-opening kriyas just to kind of help keep my heart open. And I then, in that, I begin to feel separate. I begin to feel separate from the world. And now I'm suffering from the same thing that's causing the suffering in the first place, this sense of separation. So it's this very interesting cycle. And it's a very visceral, it's almost like a habit. This closing of the heart and the losing of presence and this disillusion, this moving away from the problem because it's just it feels so painful. Yeah.
In what way are you seeing, in what forms are you seeing the suffering of the world?
Well, I mean, I could just look at Gaza for one. That would be the biggest hit right there.
What I mean is, how are you getting information about that?
Well, I've been getting it through Gabor Mate, and I've been getting it a little bit from the news. I kind of had to stop watching that. I've been trying to be very discerning about the sources of the news, but of information generally. But it wouldn't be just necessarily that. It's this polarity in the world where this is the position, and no, this is the position, and this that.
Yeah.
And that's very painful for me to see.
Yes.
So okay. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Okay. You can't make a decision to be any more or less spiritual than you are. You just are. You are a spiritual being in a human body. You have consciousness. You are consciousness. It runs through you. Where you decide to put your attention, your mind, where you decide to use your power of free will, you can go in all kinds of directions. But no matter where you go, how you go there, no matter what you believe or don't believe, no matter how you act, no matter what you do or don't do, you will never be more or less spiritual than you are. If what you mean by how can I remain spiritual in the face of so much pain and suffering in the world, if you mean how can I remain open-hearted and not have my heart close in the way that you described, that's a different question. And so I'm going to address that question. There are things and realities in this world that I can't focus on because it will break my heart. I cannot put my mind to it and keep it there because it's too much for me emotionally. It is not my job to become more strong emotionally so that I can look at more of the suffering of the world. It is my job to be an example of having worked out the suffering in my inner world, and then to live as light. I don't have a sphere of influence that can do anything about the situation in Gaza. I can educate myself about it. I can feel all the very painful feelings that come up for everybody on both sides, all sides. I can feel compassion for everybody involved in that struggle now and for the last 5,000 years. People want you or me or anybody to have a position. What's your position? What's your position? What do you feel about Gaza? Sad? That's my answer. What do you feel about the Ukraine? Sad? Can you believe this? Can you believe that? Can you believe them? Did you hear what they did now? It's not a new story. It's the current example of what takes place in tremendous unconsciousness and terrible behavior. Who's responsible? You think anybody really going to answer that question? It's all about perspective. It's all relative. If you grew up and your family was a family of people who believed in what Hamas believes in, you will see their side of the street. If you grew up as an Israeli, as a Jewish person, you will see that side. If you grew up as a Palestinian and you suffered as the Palestinians have suffered, you will see that side. Rare is the person who can step out of a conflict like that and be able to see all the sides and recognize, wow, it's just sad. We're still killing each other. Wow, I thought we would have been done with that by now. Because I have no influence on those conflicts, I just return to the Serenity Prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That prayer works for me every single day. It helps me to see where I can exert myself to actually make a difference, and where I need to back off and just say a prayer and let it go and be in a state of acceptance that not everything in the world is the way any of us wish it would be. You know, in the political realm, what do you feel about this person, that person, the other person? Are you with this party, that party, the other party? It's in every country. You know, I'm coming from the US perspective, but it's like, I have no sphere of influence there either. My own country. You would say, oh, that's not true, Tommy. You could go out and speak. You could go out and sway opinion. No. I'm a yogi. My influence is to work on maintaining a pristine state of mind and to think clearly and to not be pulled into struggle and to stand as an example of love and compassion the best I possibly can. People are like, you should be outraged. You should take a stand. You should do this. You should do that. It's like, well, no, I'll leave that to you. It's not within my sphere of influence or my desire to take on all of the pain and all the suffering of the world. I can see that I couldn't handle it if I tried to. But it would also be really unskillful of me to try. I don't watch the news because there's no point. It's the oldest story. Every news report. If you just turn on the TV as an experiment one day, just pick any of the major news channels, turn your back to the screen. Just listen to the voices and the sounds and the music that they use to tell a story. Then turn the channel to the other one. You hear the same sounds and the same stories, different opinions, but it doesn't matter. It's all the same voice, the same tone, the same manipulative thing going on. Our position, our position, our position. Buy this, do that. You should think like this. You should think like that. If I live under the influence of those kinds of things, I guess I'd give myself 12 months to survive. Be dead in a year. I really mean it. I couldn't possibly stomach it. The choice is to be in the world, but not of it. And what I mean by that is we have to do everything in our power that we can to find ourselves in the company of wise counsel. Study. Make ourselves aware. See beyond the nonsense. See where your sphere of influence lies and where it doesn't. Apply yourself where you can and say prayers to everybody and everything else. Keep your heart open, because the thing that we forget is that most of the world is actually in the light. We just don't see it because it doesn't make the news. Most people love people. Most people want other people to succeed. Most people love children when they see them. They don't care what their color or race is. You see a child, you smile. Most people in the world are that way. It's only a few people, less than 50%, believe me, who are in the dark and in the unconsciousness and in the violence and in the pain. But it's loud. Violence is loud. Peace is a little less loud. Love is a little less loud. You keep your heart open, because if you close your heart, then you'll miss the things that you could have seen if your heart were open. And you don't want to miss those things. If you close your heart, you won't be able to do anything about the things that do lay within your sphere of influence. You will truly be a victim of the world and the circumstances around. And we will lose the benefit of your heart. And we wouldn't want to lose that. Your journey of recovery is extraordinary. I've seen it from the beginning. It's just extraordinary what you've been able to achieve in this life. And I know that you come from a scientific background and that you have a very smart intellect, and that you have the ability to think things through, and that you have a reverence of science and spirit alike. And because you have a reverence of science and spirit alike, all the more reason not to close your heart. Because you can see the places where spirit backs science and science backs spirit. And you start to see the places where things are really true and where things are not. And so the good news for us is our job is to simply wake up and then help others to do the same. And as you're going through the world and doing this process of awakening, you can help wherever you can help. And I see you doing that every day. Every single day in our community. The unbelievable amount of effort that you put out to help. And so what I'm seeing is you haven't closed your heart. Your heart is wide open. And, but that there's this feeling of things hurt when we look at them and focus on them out in the world, that things hurt. And like I said, if I focused on these things with any intention, with any intent, it would be too much for me. Just too much. So the choice is, and I feel very fortunate to have the choice, is I'm going to look into this matter of love, connection, possibility, hope, reconciliation, reparation, amendment, repair, recovery, reclaiming. I'm going to look there. I'm going to live in the solution, and I'm going to stay in the solution. And there's really nothing else that I feel I need to do. And I really feel, even though I can't live up to this because I have my own liabilities, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I really mean it. I worry, but I've just been trained to worry, and I'm still working on training myself out of it. But I actually don't think there's anything to worry about. I think we have the answers. I know that we can feed each other. We have enough food to do that. I feel that we can love each other. We have enough heart to do that. And I think that there's an incredible amount of unconsciousness in the world, but I think there's more consciousness in the world. And I still believe in people. As weird as that might be to some folks who hear that, I still believe in people. And you know what else I believe in? Trees. I believe in the tree. I believe in the grass. I believe in the mountain and the seashore. I believe in the blade of grass coming up through the concrete in the city. I believe in the breath. They just don't make the 6 o'clock news all the time. But I still believe in them. I believe there's a good use of social media. I believe there's a good use of AI. I do. And I believe that, people who are unconscious in their approach to life will be unconscious in their approach to these tools as well. And so the effort once again returns to become more conscious. Awaken. If we all do that, and we just do the best that we can do to awaken from within, we will find peace within, and we will find peace on this planet. I know that. I know that that is the formula. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's why I think we're all pursuing the path of yoga and the path of recovery and the path of discovery. Because this is where the battle needs to be fought. It's in the internal world. That's why we're asking these inquiries. That's why we're coming together in circle. That's why we look at this stuff. Because we feel and have this strong knowledge that if we continue to do this work together in the spirit of love and discovery, it's going to lead to some really great places, as it already has. And so we'll just keep going. So keep your heart open, dear Elizabeth. We need you. And I will do the same. And dear Nicole, and dear Donna. And we just put one foot in front of the next. We help each other. As Ram Dass said, we're just walking each other home. That's what we'll do. Tell me your thoughts, Elizabeth Kipp.
Thank you so much, Tommy. So I get a little perplexed, but that's what I do. Between the, this argument going on out there and Ramana Maharshi saying, someone asking Ramana Maharshi, how do we treat others? And his answer was, there are no others. So I live in this interface between the sense of this wound of separation and this oneness. And of course, that's where my work is. So that's not really unusual. Where else would I be living right now? Right, with the kind of people I work with and so forth. But you gave me some another perspective and helped me balance this equation. And I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the inquiry. Ramana Maharshi is seeing from an altitude that I'm not. I agree with the statement. There are no others. And I also am in this body with this nervous system and these perspectives and these entrainments. At the spiritual level, we're all returning back to the ocean. Each of us could be represented as a drop of the ocean that's out here in human form. We're all connected. We're all the same. We're all coming from the same place. Ultimately, there are no others. And we have this challenge, this optical illusion of consciousness, that we are separate. And so we're navigating that, and I navigate it with you.
I'll just add one last piece here, Tommy.
Please.
Because you brought up trees.
Yes.
I have a thing with trees. I always have. And everywhere I live, I have a favorite tree. I have this thing with a tree. And I have one right outside here. And all I have to go when I feel that, tension, all I have to do is walk outside and turn towards that tree. And I'm getting a transmission. I'm in a different, I'm in this place where I'm present. There's no problem. It's very powerful. So a great tool. So that's a tool that I use. But I just wanted to let you know I was, you brought up trees, so there you go.
I love it. We'll end on that note. I love it so much, and I love you so much. I love you all so much, and I'm grateful that we could be together today on in this circle. And I'm grateful for your time and your earnestness. And I'm on this path with you, and I'm grateful to all of us to walk the path shoulder to shoulder. So thank you, and thank you.